Alright, let's just give him a few minutes to join as I post the link.
Okay.
There it goes. Okay.
Did you do the Gort thing?
I will.
Okay.
Alright, so, I guess we could start now.
Alright. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another A&L Live video. I, of course, am your host, Avengers. Alongside me is our other host, Lima.
Yeah, if you guys don't know my voice by now, you'll learn it pretty quick. I'm the main commissioner of the league. You'll be hearing from me a lot.
For a lot of y'all, you're wondering what A&L Live is. I'll do a really quick explanation. A&L Live is Avengers and Lima Live. It was started back in Madden 17 to do a podcast to keep the league going. So, with videos going up on this channel, it could be either me or Lima. But, of course, this is going to pretty much, this video or live stream, whatever, is going to explain the league, the podcast, rules, and everything else. And I welcome anybody who's joining us. If you will be so kind to hit that subscribe button, hit that like to show your support. So first off, Lima, if you wouldn't mind starting off with telling us who our lovely commissioners are for Madden 19.
Yeah, alright, so, obviously, I'm the main commissioner, and this year we're doing things a little different. We have a little more commissioners, and we're going to be doing a little more equal responsibilities for each of the commissioners, so if you have any issues in the league, any one of the commissioners will be able to help you and enforce any rules that have been broken or anything like that. You don't have to come specifically to me. Um, all right, so obviously me, I'm the main commissioner, and then we have your boy who is the Browns. I guess he put in his name he's the last priority commissioner, but you can go to him whenever too. Um, and then we have Ungly, who is the 49ers. Let's see, we have JP, who is the Rams, and then our final commissioner is Texas Beast, who is the Falcons. And like I said, we all are equal responsibilities, so you can go to any one of us for anything you need.
Alright, thank you for telling us who our commissioners are. And this year, instead of commissioners also being part of the trade committee, Lima has decided to separate the trade committee for regular people. He gave everybody a chance in the when he started to be part. There's only 3 of us. I am one of them, Avengers. So you can send your trades to me. But of course, you also have Trey Crisp, and you have Dalvinville. Us 3 will be your trade committee. At any time, if you have a trade with someone else that you need, you can send them to us. Please, please, I cannot stress this enough. Please send your trades. Don't automatically go to a commissioner and try to trick them into thinking and saying that you already did. Most of them will come to us first to make sure.
Yeah, we will make sure the trades are approved and specifically what it is too, so we know. But anyways, just to clarify, Trey Crisp, his name in the chat is King Incredible, but
Yeah,
his
my bad.
personal name is Trey Crisp.
King,
And he hasn't picked a team yet, so we don't.
we can't really say what team he is.
Yeah.
But all right,
All
so
right,
next
so
we got the rules, and Lima will be taking us through a not all of the rules, but the main rules, and he will be going into detail about them.
Yeah, so as you guys have probably noticed already, I divided the rules into separate categories so it should be easier to find. So like I put the gameplay rules on top so that way if you're in a game and like it's fourth down and you forgot what the exact rule is so you don't know if you can go for it or not, the gameplay rules are on top so you click through it and it's a lot shorter list of rules so you can get to it a lot quicker and you should be able to see the rule. But anyways, we'll start through this. So for gameplay rules, it's most pretty obvious, like most common rules. Switch up your gameplay. There's no like specific number of times you need to not run a play in a row or whatever. It's just like just switch it up. If somebody keeps complaining that you're running the same 3 plays all game, then we're gonna talk to you about it. And then defense is a little bit different. You can have a base defense as most teams do, but still like switch it up off of that. Like you can run cover three like 60-70% of the time, but you gotta switch up off of that. You can go like blitzes and throw little mans and different types of zones in there, but don't run the same exact play every time. And then, as obvious, you have to run at least rush at least 3 players, unless the play is designed for less. That's a pretty common rule among leagues, and obviously a spy is not a rusher. This rule has been a part of our leagues for a while, no quitting or conceding at all, but people seem to ignore the conceding part. They think that if they concede, it's okay since the stats save, but that's not the case because it does. People are going for awards, so it does mess up the stats. And like, if you concede in the third quarter, that's only half a game stats, so it's not fair to everyone. So just no quitting or conceding at all. And as you can see, it says automatic boot. And then no chew clock in the first 3 quarters, but you must chew the clock if you're winning by 21 points or more in the fourth. And we're not doing a rule that says you can't run up the score, so you can still pass and try and score. You can try and score touchdowns, try and run up the score all you want, but just do it with chew clock on. So that way you get through the game a little quicker, and neither you have to sit through if one person's blowing the other out. But so, and then this year we put the punishments down there for each rule, so there's no like, oh, I didn't know that was going to be the punishment, so everyone knows now. So the first offense is a warning, just because we understand sometimes people will accidentally break a few rules, just not thinking or whatever. But so yeah, the first offense is a warning. But the second time you do it, you should know by then. So you're gonna lose a 4th round pick, and that pick is gonna go to the opponent that you broke the rule against. And then the third time you do it is gonna be a 1-game suspension, which, I mean, you're just gonna get a force loss against the next person you play. And that, if you're playing like a division opponent or you're a playoff team, that's gonna suck. So obviously, just don't break the rules. And then 4th down rule, every league has one. Each league's a little different, but in this one it's going to be on or past the 50-yard line is good to go. So if it's 4th and 15, but you're on the opponent's 35 in field goal range or whatever, you can go for it. 4th and 1 anytime, anywhere on the field, anytime in the game. And you can go for it anytime if you're losing in the second half by 14 or more. You can go for it in the fourth if you're tied or losing. And if you're up by 3 or more scores, even though I said you can run up the score, you still should punt the ball on 4th down. You don't need to go for it. And then in overtime, play to win. So that means go for it anytime you want, anywhere you want. Just obviously in overtime, you're playing to win the game. So do what you need to do on 4th downs. And then, as we've done before, you do get your special teams fake, but you only get 1 per game. And I want to clarify here, special teams fake, it can be from anywhere on the field. It doesn't have to follow the 4th down rules. That is the one exception to the 4th down rules. But you only get 1 fake.
So that means
That's
if
it
you
for the
get a
whole game.
touchdown and you go for a field goal fake, that counts, right? That counts as your 1 special team fake.
Yeah, yeah. So if you, I mean, I'm not going to tell you how to play your game, but if you're going to go for 2, I would say call a play to go for 2. Don't use the special teams fake. But and then the punishments for breaking a 4th down rule is the same as the gameplay rules. So warning first time, Second time is the loss of the fourth round pick, which would be given to your opponent, and then the third is the 1 game suspension. But that's pretty much it for the gameplay rules. It's a short list, just the fourth down rules and a few more things. I try to keep that short. And then the non-gameplay rules is a little more, so I don't want to. I'm not going to go through every specific thing, but we're trying something new here this year, which is the 90% rule for advances, and that's basically how it sounds. If as soon as 90% of the games are played, we're going to be advancing. So that means that whatever game or two is left will be simmed unless you guys are like already playing or have a time set that's coming up soon because we don't want to make the league wait. And then 48-hour advance, obviously. This year we're doing advances at 11:30 p.m. Eastern time, and then 24-hour playoff advance. And then we're doing something new this year. We're trying to get people more involved, and we're trying to get the league to stay active as long as we can, and as competitive as we can get it. So we're going to be doing 4 games of the week, each week, and those games must be streamed by someone. There's no away team has to stream or home team has to stream. Just someone has to stream. And I know that some people have bad internet, so the opponent, hopefully in that case, can stream. But as you can see, I put on there, if the game isn't streamed, both teams get a 1 game suspension. So that's an automatic force loss the next week.
I guess you need to
And
explain what the 1 game suspension is.
yeah, 1 game suspension is an automatic force loss the next week, basically. You can't play the game. If you get caught playing a game which that is supposed to be a suspension, then that's most likely going to be a boot. And then position swaps is you can read through that. I'm not going to say every single non-position swap.
If you played in most leagues,
But
they usually have the same position swapping and what you can and cannot
yeah,
do.
some leagues will allow some different things, but it's pretty basic. And then if you are caught moving positions, then you will have to move them back, and if it becomes an issue, then you'll get a 1 game suspension. But then no position switches for XP or cheaper contracts. And then also, I want to push this hard. For scheduling, there's too many people in every league, not just this league, that just wait for their opponents to message them, and they're like, "Oh, my opponent hasn't messaged me yet, so I don't have to worry about it." Like don't wait for them to message you. Just message them as soon as you know who you're playing, and try and set up a time. And also, it's not written down here, but if you guys have not set up a time yet and it's the second day, it's day of advance, and neither opponent has reached out to each other, there's going to be no forces given. Like if one of you messages like right before advance and the other doesn't message back in that hour or two before advance, there's no force there. If you don't message your opponent on the first day, then you're not going to be getting a force at all. So don't even try and ask for a force in that situation.
Hmm.
But also, if you have 2 force losses from not showing up to a scheduled game time or not messaging your opponent back, you will receive the boot. And that's from those 2 things. Like if you get a force loss because you're out of town or whatever, but you communicated, that's not going to get you kicked. But if you
Too
don't
many
show up to a
people.
scheduled time, yeah. If you don't show up to a scheduled time or you don't message your opponent back, then that's gonna get you the boot.
There's too many
But
people.
anyway,
The reason why the rules are so restricted, there's too many people that do that with scheduled times and then don't say anything and don't show up, or they don't schedule at all until the end and try to get a force out. That's
yeah, and
don't think
there's
these is just because we're trying to the commissioners are being dicks. It's just because there's too many people that do that, and we're trying to keep the league going.
yeah, we want to move as quickly as we can. But yeah, there's too many people that just they're like, "Oh, my opponent hasn't messaged me yet, so I don't have to worry about anything." It's like as soon as you see who you're playing, you should message them. Don't wait for them to message you.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's pretty much what I'm gonna go over for gameplay and non-gameplay. But I'm gonna pass it over to Avengers now, and he's gonna go over the trade rules.
All right, guys. So the trade rules, there's not very many trade rules. It's pretty straightforward, but I'm really going to pound this in y'all's heads of what these mean. First, before I get into trade rules, please, if you and another person are trying to trade, y'all have a deal, please make sure it gets to us. Because, like we said in the beginning, the commissioners, when you go to them for them to open up the trades for you, they will ask you, they will ask us, and if you don't, then we will just say no to your trade anyway. We're not going to even let you do the trade. So please make sure you come to us. Please make sure you, if you can't get a hold of us, just we might be a little busy. Just kind of give us a minute. If we get 4 trades at a time, we're going to try to go down the list as fast as possible. But these trade rules, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We're trying to make it good for everybody, but at the same time fair. There's going to be an unlimited amount of trades for players that are overall of 89 and below. That means they have to be 89 or below, not, oh, if they're 89 for the team they're going, or they're 89 and below for the team they're going for, but they're 91 on my team. No. It's what team they are on when they're getting traded. So, unlimited for that. You will only have 2. I know for a lot of people they don't even have 90s, but for some people they have multiple, or they will get multiple depending on how they play. You can only trade 2 90 overall or higher players per season. That means if in one trade you trade your 290 overalls for a good amount of picks, those are your 290 overalls that you can trade. You can't trade anybody else. It makes it where you don't get a lot of picks and you don't lose all your players, so you can bomb the season. This is an important rule right here. If you trade for a 90 plus overall player and then the person you traded with gets kicked or leaves in that season, then the trade must be reversed. You will get everything back, and the team that you got the stuff back will get all theirs back, just so the next person who's coming in has those players that they can. I know it sounds but what happens if they don't lead till week 14? Well, it's still that thing of that person's going to come in and might not like what they have and they won't stay, and then we can't get someone to stick with that team. It's just so, or you can try to trade with them again for the same trade, and we will let it go through. And a season means the off season to the Super Bowl. So if we're in 2020 offseason, you trade, and in the divisional round the player quits and leaves and gets kicked or something, then the trade must be reversed. And then there's no trade deadline, so don't worry, you can trade at any time during the season. It's not going to stop at week 8 and that's it. It's through the whole season. And this is an important one. No more than 3 first-round picks per team. That means if you have 2 already, you can only have 1 more to have 3 first-rounders. There have been leagues that I know a bunch of people have been in where someone has 8 to 12 first-round picks. No other picks during the whole, no other picks for any other round, but they have 12 first-round picks. This is to give it where y'all have a chance to have a good amount of first-round picks, but not an overabundance where it's not fair anymore.
Yeah, and also before we finish this, obviously the game hasn't came out yet, so we don't know how the specific gameplay is going to be. We might need to change a few rules and here and there, but like this is the
This
base
is the
of what
base,
it's
yeah.
going to be.
The trade rules might change depending on how the game looks and how the game works and everything else. So nothing is set in stone. This is just base for if we don't have to make up a whole new thing of rules when we get in there. We have a base. We can take out some rules, add some rules. Do not worry. This might not be the final product.
Yeah, and hopefully dividing the rules up into 3 categories, hopefully it helps everyone. But then also before we finish this, we're going to talk a little bit about the podcast, just for those of you guys that don't know, and then what we'll be doing for the league that we've decided on so far.
All
But
right. You want to explain the podcast to him?
you can explain that, and then I'll explain the other stuff.
Okay. So, like I said in the beginning, for all you new people, the podcast was set up by me and Lima back in the end of Madden 17 because we wanted to pretty much keep playing Madden, but the game was pretty much dead. It was a podcast to keep everybody interested, keep everybody playing. It was to get people hyped to be everything. What the podcast pretty much is me, Lima. Like he said, there will be 14 games of the week. We will talk about those games of the week. We do it every. We'll try to do this every advance, where we pick 4 games, talk about them, talk about who's gonna win, talk about the players, who's gonna make a big impact for each team. Well, and that's pretty much it. We talk about pretty much anything. We'll talk about we'll talk about the stats from the previous 4 games and everything else. It will keep y'all hyped. It will keep y'all wanting to play longer, to be games of the week, to see y'all's name when we talk about y'all.
All right. So yeah, so basically, like he said, we got the 4 games of the week, and we'll go over that. Also, we do once you they will be streamed, obviously, but anybody else at all, any game during the week, if you have a highlight play and you know how to save your video clip, please save your video clips and send them to us. We're gonna try and do like a top 10, and it probably won't be every week because that's just gonna be too much. But we'll probably do one every like 4 weeks or like halfway through the season, and then we'll do like a top 10 plays of the season, and stuff like that. So please send us your video clips of highlight reel plays if you don't know how, or if you know how to do that, and if you don't, we'll explain it later. But anyways, also we're going to be doing a power rankings. We've done it before, but I'm not sure if we're going to be doing one total power rankings where all the commissioners chime in on what it is, or if each one will have their own rankings. But we're going to be doing a little more. That's kind of all I can think of right now, or all I'm going to
Well,
share at least.
I'll give y'all one more piece of thing that I'm gonna start doing. It's gonna be a new thing that I won't give you the name, but all it's gonna pretty much be is I'll try to talk to the trade committee and try to have them and a couple commissioners, and we'll try to talk about trades. We might not do it every week. We might do it every other week or something to talk about past trades and what everybody thinks about them. And that's just to give a little more of a thing to people. Because a big part of this game is the trading system, to trade away, get stuff, and it changes the balance of teams, and we can see who can win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much all I can think of for now. We'll have more later, obviously. More once the game comes out. We'll be doing a lot of stream once the games come out too.
Oh
We'll
yeah.
not just be streaming stuff for Combo League, but probably some MUT, probably some other stuff too. So it's gonna be pretty exciting.
So, like I said, if y'all wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button and for showing your support and hit that like button, it really helps us out. It tells us we're doing a good job and tells y'all actually like it. But as always, we hope everybody has a great season and seasons after. We wish everybody the best of luck making the playoffs and winning a Super Bowl title. And as always, I'm your host, Avengers. Alongside me is Lima.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time.
See you later.